Hi everyone, it's Weather for Weather Geeks time here, the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast, the Thursday evening edition. You know, in this video in early January, or through a lot of January, we are usually talking about some storm either in the short term or potential for some storm in the longer range, and I'm showing you some models and what could happen. And I haven't had to talk about a snowstorm. I haven't made a snow map for like a month now, maybe even longer. We've had basically no accumulating snow for 3+ weeks now across our area, and not a legitimate snow event really since the tail end of November. And I don't see one coming anytime real soon. I'm going to talk about the longer range later in this video, but first, thanks to Ralph for the reminder of what things looked like a year ago when we were in the middle of the harshest weather of the winter season. This, of course, Lanterman's Mill, and the water frozen there after a morning low in the single digits. Hey, if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, be sure you're doing that. A mix on my Instagram of, it's kind of a mix of weather content, of goofy pictures of me, of various things I'm doing. You know, a little more, personal, I think, on my Instagram, posting a little more of what I might be doing on a weekend or something like that. But there's plenty of weather content mixed in there as well. I'm Eric WFMJ on Instagram. So thanks to Ralph for sending that in today. A reminder of where we were last year. We were in the middle of this brutal stretch of weather that really kicked in just after Christmas and continued through the first week of January. What I am not showing here is the low on the 7th day of January, which was -11. That's when the cold snap then peaked and then broke. And the rest of winter was not bad at all, but the first week or so of January was pretty tough last year. Compare that to this year. Now, some of these numbers, of course, are forecast numbers for the next few days, but we are pretty confident we're going to see some pretty toasty, by January standards, some toasty temperatures. And what a change from a year ago. Also want to thank Ralph for touching base with me on Twitter today about the winter forecast, and I've been expressing some concern on this video over the last few days about, hey, if it doesn't turn really cold later this month and into February, our winter forecast may not turn out to be so great. December was already a little warmer than I expected it to be, and the first half of January is turning out to be warmer than I initially expected it to be. One thing that kind of stands out here, I showed you this graphic when I did the winter forecast back in the early stages of November. One of the things we do when we make a seasonal forecast is look back at past years that have similar atmospheric and oceanic conditions to this year, and then we take a look at what happened in those subsequent winters. And these were our top analogs, and neither of those looks like they're going to work out this winter, especially this really cold one in 77, 78. But of interest here, 94, 95 is in that secondary tier of analogs that we did look at, and maybe we should have looked at it a little more carefully, because it turns out that this might be our closest match to this winter. It was a somewhat milder than average winter, not crazy mild, but it was mild, especially December and January. It did turn cold in February of 95. Look at the snow. It was one of our least snowy winters on record, actually, with only 33.7 at the Youngstown Warren Airport. And right now, if I had to, rank all of these analogs, this would be my top analog, considering what has happened and what we expect to happen over the next month or so. 91, 92, also fairly similar on, kind of the surface here, but if you look at the actual data, the temperature trends during that winter were not exactly a mirror image to this year. 94, 95, quite a bit closer. So, yeah, maybe we should have put a little more stock in that analog year. Well, for most of the day today, it looked kind of like the first 2 days of 2019. It was slate gray overcast, but as expected, in the last couple of hours of daylight, we got into some sunshine. You're going to see that on this time-lapse video from Columbiana. Nice end of the day today, led to a nice sunset this evening, and really for the first time this year, we saw an appreciable amount of sunshine. All right, with a clear sky overhead this evening, if you want to bundle up and head outside, one of our better wintertime meteor showers is peaking this evening. It's kind of a narrow window when this one peaks, the quadrantids. And in our time zone, this is kind of peaking this evening between, say, 8 and 10. As with all meteor showers, your best bet is to find the darkest spot you can find. Allow plenty of time for your eyes to adjust. You're not going to go from the city lights to a dark spot and immediately be able to see a bunch of meteors. You need to allow your eyes some time to adjust. Now, if you find a good dark spot and we luck out, you could see up to 50 per hour. Meteor showers tend to be a little bit flaky and really hard to predict how many meteors you're going to see, but as a kind of a general guide, 30 to 50 is a good bet. Now, a lot of these will originate or seem to originate from near the Big Dipper or just below the Big Dipper, but you can look anywhere in the sky, really, and see a few meteors up there tonight. So if you're interested in a little astronomy tonight, it's a cold night, but good night to check that out with the clear sky overhead. Here's where winter remains with this area of low pressure down across the southern tier of states. Snow continues northern Texas, parts of Oklahoma this evening. Tilted the globe here to show you where the cold air is. No surprise, it's in the Arctic regions, but there's a couple of spots away from the Arctic Circle where we have legit winter cold. One is in eastern Canada. The other is across the pole. Oops, let me grab my camera tool. There we go. The other is across the pole and into Siberia. Western parts of Asia and Europe are not all that cold, although they're going to get pretty cold in the coming days and next couple of weeks. But it's Siberia and eastern Canada and parts of Alaska, kind of the usual suspects as far as the worst of the cold, but it's just having a hard time coming south, and it's going to continue to have a hard time coming south on our side of the pole over the next couple of weeks. Now, as I mentioned, on the other side of the pole, we're going to see some pretty harsh Arctic outbreaks, it looks like, over parts of Europe and Western Asia, but not here in the mid-latitudes of North America. All right. For your Friday, a veil of high clouds will make for kind of a milky sky at times, but overall a pretty nice day. We'll sneak up into the mid-40s. Now, I think we're going to get grazed, and I mean grazed, by just a touch of rain tomorrow night. Now, if you live, say, up in northern Trumbull County, northwestern Mercer, you might not see a drop of rain tomorrow night. Your chances of rain are definitely highest south and east of Youngstown and a little closer to Pittsburgh. But even if you get some wet weather tomorrow night, it's in the wee hours of Saturday morning. Most of us won't even notice this. By the time the sun rises Saturday morning, clouds will already be clearing from west to east, and it'll be a great afternoon on Saturday. I mean, wow, close to 50 degrees, bright and sunny in early January. Hey, we will take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, a little bit cloudier, just a veil of high clouds on Sunday with this next front dropping in. I dropped our high temperatures down a few degrees on Sunday as a result of this kind of almost a backdoor front coming in from the north. Might have to even drop our highs a few more degrees as we go into tomorrow. I think Sunday's still a pretty nice day, but not as warm as Saturday will be. So, again, the rain, very inconsequential for Friday night, maybe a couple of hundredths. That should be about it. No matter what model you look at, it's not going to be much rain. Here's our weekend temperature forecast: 49 Saturday, 43 on Sunday. Again, Sunday afternoon, a little cooler, a little bit cloudier, but still not bad by January standards. 8 to 14 day outlook still looks very, very mild across the lower 48 states. Now, what about beyond that? It's Thursday evening, so it's our twice-a-week opportunity to check out the European model long-range outlook here. And, I show you this, but it's certainly not the Bible, and there have been times this winter in which this modeling has absolutely stunk. But when we look at the long-term averages, the European model tends to be the superior model in the longer range, but it has misses just like any other model. So, take all these long-range thoughts with a grain of salt. But one thing that has been shown by this model, some other modeling, is that the warm pattern should break down. It has to eventually. It's not going to last forever. And right now we're targeting kind of that last few days of January, heading into February, and you can see there's a lot of blue on the map for the first couple of weeks of February. So, low confidence on the February forecast at this point, but high confidence in the next 2 weeks that winter weather is going to be hard to find. Occasionally we're going to have some seasonably chilly weather like the middle of next week with highs in the mid-30s, but a harsh Arctic outbreak, the likes of which we saw early last January, big snowstorms, that sort of thing, I don't see it coming through the middle of January. That's it for your Thursday night Weather for Weather Geeks update. I'll see you back here Friday evening, and have a great night, everyone.